So long term, what are some of your career goals? I'm not a huge fan of working. My goal is to retire. My goal is to be the one asking stupid questions like this. Career goals? Make more money. What do you think? Honestly, that's reasonable. What are your career goals? This interview question can easily be confused with where do you see yourself in 5 years? And although there certainly is some overlap in what an interview might get out of both of these two questions, how we are going to answer them is fundamentally different. So, before we get too far into how to answer this interview question, we're going to try to understand exactly what the interviewer is trying to get out of asking this question. The first reason they ask this question is because they want to know that you are a driven individual and motivated to succeed. A person with no goals is a person who just lets life happen to them. Strong goals show that you are moving towards something and have a drive to succeed. The second reason, and actually the more important reason, is that they want to see if your goals are aligned with this job and this company. This question is just another way to sniff out how interested you actually are in this specific job position. So saying your goal is to get promoted as soon as possible or move to a different job position is just throwing giant red flags for the interviewer, showing that this isn't the job that you're actually interested in, and that is going to cost you a job. So avoid this. I'm serious here. I know somebody who just passed up on a candidate because of their answer to this interview question. Wasn't because the candidate wasn't qualified. Was not because they didn't like them. It's because the candidate's goals were not aligned with the job position. And the hiring manager didn't want to take the chance that they'd be putting time and effort into training this individual just for that person to turn around and go somewhere else in 6 months. In that situation, the candidate was interviewing for a developer position. When they were asked what their long-term goals were, they responded with being a leader in the cybersecurity field. Now let's back up for a second. Are those two fields even related? Well, yeah, they can be. Having a grasp of cybersecurity in the IT world is extremely relevant and can be helpful in a development job. Likewise, understanding development and coding can be a great background if you are looking to have a well-rounded technical career with a focus on cybersecurity. So at the surface, this might seem like a reasonable response to the question, what are your career goals? From the candidate's perspective. And that perspective is key here. We really need to look at this from the eyes of the interviewer, who is likely the hiring manager. This is true for every interview question, by the way. But if we take a look at that response through the hiring manager's lens, it looks a little more like this. My long-term goal is to be a leader in a career field that is not this one. I'm actually interested in something completely different. Well, there's some overlap, which is why I thought this would be a great background experience, more like a stepping stone to get to the job that I actually want, which again, is not this job. Now, the job that I actually want, I'm really passionate about, and I'm gonna do this job just well enough to get by while I keep applying for that one, which again, is the job that I'm passionate about, not to be confused with this job that I'm applying to. It's not enough that your goals make sense, and that this job you're applying to is the next logical step in your career plans. That's great for you, but not necessarily this interview question. That gap between the real answer to a question and the interview answer is a bit more pronounced here. And that's primarily due to the fact that your goals are gonna be selfish. And that's fine. You're the hero of your own story. Nobody else's life goal is going to be for you to succeed. You need to be your own biggest fan. But in an interview, it's all about how you can provide the most value to this company. These two things don't have to be at odds, but it is much more difficult to walk that line if you're trying to be 100% authentic in your interview answers. So, how are we going to form a response that allows us to be true to our real career goals, but also show that we're going to be adding value to this company and to this team? Well, we know our response needs to be focused around that value that we're adding to the team. So the answer's obvious, isn't it? Our goal is to add value to the company. Well, actually, yeah. No, it's not that simple. Because literally saying my long-term goal is to add value to this company is gonna come across as a little inauthentic and honestly, a little weird. So how can we form a good response here? The first step when forming our response is to share our passion about something that this job position offers or needs. Just pick something about this job position that you can cling on to. You can grab it right off the job listing if you want, but just pick something that you can elaborate on as a goal of yours. Personally, I like to use processes like problem solving and critical thinking because those actually do line up with my career goals and what I'm looking for in a job. So that always makes it easier. For me, I love puzzles. I love having a set of tools, trying to find the best ways to accomplish a challenge in ways that other people haven't thought of yet, and doing that with my creativity. And since problem solving and critical thinking are almost always on the job listing, I can pretty much twist this to every job listing that I go for. Now, to take this to the next level, try understanding the biggest pain points of the team and tailor your strengths and goals to meet those needs. An example might look like, I'm a person who's passionate about learning and growing. My long-term goal is to be in an environment where I can provide value by mastering that specific process. That's why I applied to this position, because I believe it would allow me to grow and add value by performing that process. And again, that process here is just whatever process you pick from the job listing. The second thing we're going to do is use our past accomplishments. You want to show that you've already accomplished a goal and that this is the obvious next step in your career. Not only do you get to brag for a second, but you get to show them that this isn't the first time you've thought about it and that you have a track record of success that will follow you into this new job position were you to receive an offer. An example of this portion could look something like, I recently finished my degree in finance and I am really motivated to start my first role in the banking industry. My short-term goal is to get up to speed in my new position and apply my newly learned skills. I know by doing this, I'll be able to build a foundation that I can build upon for years to come and be able to move into a role on this team where I can take on more responsibilities and provide even more value. Finally, we want to explain why this company and this job role achieves our goals. The whole purpose of them asking this question is to see if your goals line up with their team's goals and if you'll be motivated to succeed in that company. So make this easy. Just hand it to them on a silver platter. Impress upon them that this company holds the key to accomplishing your goals. An example for this part of the response could be something like, one of my long-term goals is to consistently grow my professional network and work with a skilled group of individuals. I am most fulfilled when I'm contributing to something greater than myself. And providing value to a team is the best way that I can think of to do that. And from everything I know about this company, this is the place where I can see myself doing that long-term, which is why I find myself here today. Having strategic and achievable goals is a great way to keep learning and growing in your professional career. But being able to translate those goals into a job-specific answer to the interview question, what are your career goals, is a critical skill that you will need to know before your next interview. If you feel like this video has given you the tools to do that, consider subscribing to this channel so that you'll be able to see more of my videos helping you take your interview skills to the next level and upgrade your career. And if you found this video helpful, check out this other video, which is a breakdown of another one of the most important questions that you'll definitely get at your next interview. Yep.